Without a vision, the people perish. Welcome to Vision Plus, a program featuring a positive outlook, dealing with everyday situations of marriage, children, and business. Believing Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. Teacher, author, speaker, delighting audiences from New York to Sacramento with a heart and message for the people today. Bonnie would like to remind you of the 800 number on the screen. Please feel free to call at any time throughout the broadcast and share your concerns. Leave your prayer request and someone will pray with you. And now, teacher, author, and speaker, Bonnie Libhart.
Hello and welcome. You're watching Vision Plus. I'm Bonnie Libhart, and along with me is Amy and Chuck Underwood. Chuck works at In Video. He can tell us a little bit about what that sounds exciting just to hear about it. And Amy is at home with Gabe and Alex. You may have someone in your family, it could be you. I always love how the preacher says, I'm sure it's no one in our audience, but it could be someone that you know of that owes a little bit of money and you're actually wondering, what am I going to do with all the holiday season coming up so that I'll have everything from gas money to gift money to giving money? And so we may have an answer for you today, but even more so is what's in the future, and we want you to find that out. I know that Tony and I, over our many years of marriage, and of course I married in grade school and married an older man. He's 12 days older than I am, but you may want to get a copy of this tape or the DVD that is run, and whether you're here in the Huntsville, Alabama area, or you could be anywhere in the world watching this by computer, and you may want to find out more about how in the world am I going to have enough money to make it, and is there a solution? Has anyone ever been as far in debt as I am, and what are we going to do to help you? Well, this two people, Amy and Chuck, it's really interesting what they have gone through. So first of all, they made a decision that I hope that every woman in the United States will make, and that is that Amy is staying home with Gabe and Alex with her children, and that would be something I wish I had done more of when my children were small, but I just thought I had to get out and work also. So let's see how they handle it. First of all, welcome, Amy.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And also Chuck.
Hello, how you doing?
And tell me a little bit about In Video.
It's a 3D graphics company. I work there as an electrical engineer working for the place and route, and we design and create 3D graphics video cards.
Well, and you stay at home with Alex and Gabe.
That's correct. Gabe will be 5 in a few months, and Alex just turned 1. Mm-hmm. So we have our hands busy with 2 boys, and they are just constantly on the go. So my hands are full, and I'm busy on a 24-hour basis.
Well, you've been through a lot, not just, I'd love for people to hear your love story of how you met, and so I want to hear a little bit of how these two met. So if you would, tell me about your working and how you two came to meet and how you put off meeting him for so long.
Actually, I'm from Mississippi, and Chuck had just graduated from Auburn, and he had gotten a job, his first job in Mississippi. And my best friend was dating one of his coworkers, and she met Chuck at a Christmas party. And she came home and she said, Amy, you've got to meet this guy. He's perfect for you. He's just the one. And I said, nope, I don't want to have anything to do with him, because I knew what he did. And I said, he's going to be a nerd. And I said, I'm not going to have anything to do with that. And so I put her off for a year. And so finally she convinced me to come over to a party where she was. And I was actually on a date with another guy. And she convinced me to come to this party with my date. And I got there and I saw Chuck and I said, let me ditch my date and I'll be back. So I did, and the rest is history. Here we are.
Not quite history. He didn't wait on her. She got back to the party, and where's Chuck? Oh, he's gone.
He's left. Yes, they let him leave, and so we ended up getting together a few months later, and from that.
Well, how did you let him know you were interested?
I called him.
Boy, she is a modern girl. Old-fashioned girl staying home with her kids, and a modern girl calling him. I just think that worked for you.
It worked for me. I had gone through some experiences, and I said, you know what? Forget looking for Mr. Right. I'm just going to go out and have one date here, one date there, and just have a good time. And I said, now what was that guy that my friend tried to fix me up? What was his name? And so I called her up and got his number, and I said, hey, what you doing? And so that's how we got together.
What did you think of such a thing?
It didn't really bother me at all.
Did you have lots of girls calling you?
No, I did not. No, I did not. But it was great to be able to hear from her, and it was one of those things that really worked out from the beginning.
Year later, yeah, the beginning. What did you think about her? Had you seen her at the party?
Yeah, we had met, and it was one of those things where nobody had mentioned to me that I was supposed to really be meeting her, and so she came, she showed up. I said, hey, how you doing? We talked for a few minutes, but other than that, there wasn't really much discussion that we had there at the party, and so we didn't really get to talk and start meeting until much later, until a couple of months when she finally did call me.
Why didn't you call her?
Didn't really know that she was available at the time.
Yeah, if she's out with another guy, you wouldn't want to decide, well, but all's fair in love and war. As long as that ring's not on the finger, it's still open hunting. Anyway, you ended up getting married. How soon?
It was a year. We dated for a year, and then.
So that's 2 years after you first heard about him.
Right, 2 years, and he proposed after a year, and then we were engaged. We were married 6 months later.
So it's 2.5 years. My goodness. I don't know how modern this is. Usually me today, married tomorrow. Well, back in the olden days it was. Tony and I met and had 2 dates, I think, because I wasn't supposed to date students, and he was a student. And so we just had to get married since we weren't allowed to date students. But he was in the Marine Corps and one of those, another engineer, Penn State, but he wasn't a nerd. I thought he would be, but he wasn't. And your Chuck wasn't a nerd either, was he?
Not a bit.
He was a good-looking engineer.
Well, I ditched my date.
Now, you were married for a while, and you went to the East Coast to live, didn't you? Tell us a little.
To Tennessee.
Oh,
We went to Tennessee. How long were we married?
We've been married for probably about 3 or 4 months and decided that we wanted to change the scenery. Amy had grown up and lived in the same city all of her life and decided she wanted something different, and I really was not against that idea, so I called up one of my friends who I used to work with, and we moved up to the Knoxville, Tennessee area.
That's easy for me, because I was born in Arkansas. And you lived in Knoxville, and then something happened. What happened at that time?
Well, we basically went in to work one day and got to my cubicle, looked up, and one of the managers came by and said, hey, Chuck, we need to talk with you. So he brought me over into one of the manager's offices. I walked in. One of the main guys are sitting in there, and I walk in thinking, yeah, this can't be good at all. And sure enough, he announced that that day they were going to be letting off about 25% of our office. And so they cut about 11 or 12 people from one day and just laid them off, said, thanks. We appreciate what you've done for us, but that's going to be it. Here's 2 weeks severance pay and don't come back.
So that's the middle of the day that you hear about it. Or it's not the end of the day, is it?
Well, no, it was pretty much as soon as we got into work. I had been there for maybe half an hour, and they started calling people in and letting people know about it. So it was very early that morning.
We've been through that. Tony got home one morning. He came home at 9 o'clock in the morning, and of course he goes to work, or would go to work, or always has, 7 a.m. or something, but normally be there 8 to 5. if he worked regular days and he came home at 9. Now, I had a bunch of people at my house, and he said, "Oh, I just came home to be with you." So he didn't tell me, and my brain wasn't catching it. What's going on? Why is he here? So how did you tell Amy? I mean, you had to go home.
Well, I did. She had an appointment that day, and so I ended up making it home shortly before her appointment, and you really did not hit her to begin with when we first got there. And she just kind of looked up and she's like, "Well, what are you doing home?" And I said, "Well, we need to talk." And I think about that time, it really began to sink into her that, okay, he's home. He's not supposed to be home. Something's not good with this. And so we sat down, we talked about it, and it was one of those where we start looking around going, what do we do now? What do we do now? We had no idea. We had not been put into a situation like that, anything close to it. And so it was really a time of panic for us in the literal sense. We have a 6-month-old at home at the time, and we look up and we have no idea what we're going to do, where we're going to go, how we're going to handle this.
Now, you had no money saved, or what was your savings situation? And Amy is staying home with the 6-month-old, so she's not working, doesn't have that income. So what did you two do that first 2-3 days?
Well, what we did for the first 2 or 3 days is sit around and feeling sorry for ourselves, really. And after that, we looked up and we said, okay, we've got to do something. So I started drawing unemployment. It's a necessary evil, something that I did not enjoy having to do. It makes you feel like you're a less of a person because I'm having to do something like that. But we also knew that we had to do something. You had to take care of the situation we were in. So we ended up doing a little bit of a role reversal, where Amy went back to work and I ended up staying home with with Gabe. And at that point, we basically went through the next 6 months trying to find a new job. I stayed home, did a job search, looked around, see what I could find, and Amy went to work back at the job that she used to be working at.
What was that, Amy?
Actually, I was working with a temp agency, and I was working for International Truck and Engine through that temp agency, and I was doing collections and things for them.
You understood everyone's situation when you called them to collect money.
Well, it was it was actually kind of a flip of collections. I was actually calling our vendors to make sure that we had paid our bills that we were supposed to have paid. So it was an interesting job, and I enjoyed it. But it really made me appreciate being at home with Gabe, and that gave me a true sense of enjoyment for when I went back, to know that that's really what I was supposed to be doing, was staying home with him.
And you had an opportunity to connect with Gabe. And so what was that time like? Could you even relax, not knowing? You hadn't saved, I think you'd told us you had not saved any money, and you weren't ready. Had you bought, you'd been married about a year now. Hadn't you, something like that, when this happened?
It was about a year and a half, maybe 2 years at that point when we had been married, and no, the savings it was one of those things where everybody plans on it, nobody does it. It's talked about, and we'll get around to it. We were living literally paycheck to paycheck, and at that point you just look up and you go, okay, we don't have that paycheck coming in. Literally, what are we going to do?
I know. How did that make you feel with her working and you staying home with Gabe?
It didn't bother me as much as it might with some people. Like she said, it was really nice being able to connect with Gabe. It was nice being able to be home with him some. I won't lie and say that I wanted to stay there. It's a very tough job to do. It's something that when you've got to stay home and you've been taken out of your element and what you're used to doing, then you really have to come back and change your whole lifestyle, change your whole mindset with it, and get done what needs to be done with him. But it was nice being able to see him grow over the next 6-month period while I was in the middle of doing a job search.
Did you get to see him walk and say the first word and take the first step and some of those things?
Sure did. He was an early walker. He started walking at about 9 months, so 3 months within to that, and then it really becomes more of a chore, because now you're not only are you having to deal with the normal things of a toddler, but now you've got to chase him and reel him in and keep him from out of the stuff that he doesn't need to be getting into also.
So you put your feelers out and applied for jobs everywhere. Did you go see Mommy and Daddy and say, "Hey, help us"?
Not really. We wanted to really try to get through this on our own as much as possible. There again, we didn't want to have to beg from other people. We wanted to be able to do as much as possible as we really could on our own. And so we had a lot of people offer us. We had some people do some things for us that we were very grateful for, but we really tried.
What kinds of things?
We had some people here and there. We ended up putting our house on the market and going ahead and selling it. We knew there was very, very little chance that we were going to be staying in the same area once I did find a new job to be working at. And so when we sold the house and got ready to move into an apartment, the church we were a part of was very helpful in that our small group came, helped us pack a lot of the stuff up, load all of our furniture up. One of our friends had a basement that we were able to store what wouldn't fit into the apartment. We were able to store stuff for free in their basement. We had people helping us out with groceries and some stuff like that a little bit, and trying to get us, kind of going again. Family helped us out with a little bit of money here and there, and doing some stuff with that.
Did you ever think of moving back in with either parents' families, any relatives?
It was a thought at one point. I think we had kind of gotten to the point where we decided, okay, we're really going to give this 6 months to really try to find something. We'll make it stretch and work that kind of length of time. Beyond that, it was really a big question mark of, what are we going to do now? And it was something that I think we had discussed of, maybe I can find something here or there, and maybe we can move back in, and that would help out. But while we considered it, I don't think it was really ever a big option for us.
Chuck and I are both really big levers and cleavers is what we call it. As the Bible tells us that's what we're called to do in a marriage. And so we truly believe that we were one unit, and we were not that we weren't grateful for the things that our family did for us, but we felt like it was our job to group together and to build our marriage stronger through that experience. And so, though it was really hard, it was something that I probably wouldn't trade for anything.
Why do you say that, Amy?
Well, in the role reversal, number one, I think we both gained an appreciation for the other one's job. I understand when he comes home from work now that he's not ready to just throw off everything and play with the kids because I've been home with him all day. I know that he needs some downtime from his job, and, kind of what his expectations are from me, in that role. And he got to see what I do on a daily basis and knows that I'm not just sitting at home eating bonbons and drinking mint julep all the time. So, he knows that I am at home working, and he understands when I don't get all of the laundry done, or when, dinner's not exactly ready on time. Things, it's just a greater appreciation for the other one. And that was a big thing for us.
Well, let me hear you say it. What do you think you learned, in addition to bonding with your child, about women's work at home? Is it just bonbons all day and watching TV and all the TV shows?
No, very far from it. It literally was the type of thing that, like she said, she understood when I came home that, it had been a tiring day. Well, I understood at the same time when I had been home with Gabe, and she would come home from work. It was the type of thing that I knew, okay, she needs a break. That because when I was there, it was okay. I've been around him all day long. Having a 6-month-old, having a 9-month-old, it really is a lot of work because you have to stay with them constantly. You have to keep your eyes on them. You have to entertain them. They're not into to just go over here and play and do something. So you really have to be hands-on with them very much the whole time. And so when we did the role reversal and she was working and I was back at home, it really was the type of thing that yes, I was very ready for a break from them. And needed that time away. Okay, and even if it was just something simple of I'm going to work on dinner, I need to be away from him for just a little bit. And some parents hear that and they think, oh, you don't want to be around your kids, but it really is the type of thing where you can't be around them absolutely 24 hours a day. You need a break. You need some me time to be able to unwind with stuff and to be able to really be a part of yourself.
What happened then? How long was it then when you did get a job?
It was right about 6 months. I guess maybe 4.5, maybe 5 months. We ended up going to a career fair at Auburn University. That's where I graduated, and they invite all people who have graduated from there to always come back to the career fair. And when they do that, I went down, made some contacts, and one of the companies that I contacted was 3D Labs, and was able to really talk to them. They were growing, expanding, they needed people, and it worked out very well that they brought me in for an interview. 2 days later, made me an offer, and we started making the arrangements. Said it's going to take us about 3 or 4 weeks to really get everything set and in place, and ended up accepting that job, and that took us from Knoxville down to the Huntsville area.
And then what happened after that? So you had another story. How did it change your life when you started getting a regular paycheck again?
Well, we had decided, and when we were living in Knoxville, we had heard about this great plan that we had heard a lot of people talk about. Dave Ramsey this, Dave Ramsey that, and we had heard of it. We had looked into it a little bit. And when we started looking at it, we ended up buying his book, Financial Peace, and decided, you know what, let's go ahead and see if we can do that on our own. We can work through this and do it. And we, in the middle of the layoff, we had already started working through the whole plan with it. And when it happened, we kind of had to put that on the side. But when we got back into having a regular paycheck again, having the money come in, we were able to that point pick the plan back up and really start working on it, and we're able to fulfill what we felt like we needed to do.
We had some of the same things to happen. Tony was laid off. I don't think he got a job in 6 months. In fact, he didn't get a job, and we started our own company. And that took everything, borrowed the money on our house. We borrowed from SBA, from so many. And we hung in there for 8 years and then still had to sell the product line to Huntsville firms, how we got here. But he didn't really get another job. So he was a little older than you as when that happened. And the market just wasn't available for him to go somewhere else. Even though he was an engineer from Penn State, it just didn't work out. So we started in our garage making highway equipment, street sweepers, in Little Rock, Arkansas. And so it was a terrifying time. I learned not to be too good to go to a yard sale and buy a dress, which most of the things I own are from there. And actually, he, who had never worn something from another person in his lifetime, actually went to a yard sale that they had in a very exclusive area in Little Rock, Arkansas, and the guy was the same size as he was, he had actually gained some weight, and so Tony would wear his slacks, his trousers, and we bought a half dozen pairs. So, it doesn't matter anymore about those things. If you can save a little money by going to a yard sale or whatever, that's a good thing. And we had gotten our credit cards up because the banks closed, and we got our credit card up to $35,000. Wow, that was not an easy thing to get out of that, and ended up where the company we sold the product line to took the product line and that company into bankruptcy, which spilled over into our personal life, and we had to take personal bankruptcy. And then we spent the next 10 years paying back the people and finally got everybody paid back. My dad had done that when I was a little girl. He had a Sherwin-Williams store, and the store burned, and he didn't have enough money, and he seemed like my whole childhood paying vendors back again. So it was just a way that we were raised, that you pay your debts, and that was not an easy time for us. And now you're back. You now have a job. You're now going through Financial Peace University. For us, it was Financial Peace University. I worked with Dave and Dan in Nashville, and it just really, I saw things I never saw before about just don't put it on your credit card. So what do you think that you learned through this Financial Peace University Revisited, I think is now it's called?
There's been a lot of things that we've really learned about it, and I think one of the biggest things was that 3 years after we ended up taking the new job in the Huntsville area, we ended up going through the exact same situation again, where we had lost our job again. I walked into work one day, and they were shutting the entire company down. But because of the Financial Peace University and the fact that we had been working our way through that, we were in the middle of working our way through that when the second layoff happened, we were able to look up and say, you know what, we've got 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. We don't have to go out and just take the first thing that comes along. We can find what we really want to do. We can find what makes us happy and what's going to help fulfill our life a little bit better than what just any job that comes along. And so that's really been the biggest key is number one, how to handle money, how to feel more safe and secure with it, how to look towards the future, and how to try to take care of the things that we know we need to do, not only for ourselves, but maybe for our children's future also.
And one of the wonderful things about what I learned also from Financial Peace University is you put back money. Now, Tony was always better at that than I was. Just a natural, just being an engineer, he just seemed like he was naturally better with money. I didn't want to admit it because I was a woman and I like to get pretty things, but I like to have, I'd like to have this new bedroom suit, and I learned you don't have to have those. You can wait like my parents did. So what happened is we thought this was such a good idea that here at Cross Point Church, you were asked to teach this course here. So tell us a little bit about when it starts and how this viewer can come and join us.
Certainly. The courses, we're going to have a couple of introductory sessions on the 1st of October. At those introductories, we'll explain a little bit about what the course is, what all is going to be involved in it, and it's going to be a very good session to be able to try to get some interest in it. And a lot of people have not really heard about this, and so it's just a way to bring people in together, help show them what they can do, what it's going to be all about. And then after that, it's a 13-week session, covers everything from dumping debt to investments, insurance, real estate. It's not a microwave method of trying to earn and make money. It's a crock pot method. There's a slow and sure way. And one of the favorite things that Dave Ramsey loves to say is it's God's and Grandma's way of handling money.
Keep it in a little sock under the bed if you have to, or we'll learn some better ways to do that. October the 1st, the number to get in touch, I know they can call our toll-free number, and that's 877-823-6886. They can call the Cross Point Church and email the Cross Point Church. Steve Keller could email there.
Is area code 256-772-4GOD, for God.
For God.
Mm-hmm.
So just look, that's an easy one. Mm-hmm. For God. 772 for God.
Correct.
And we think we're going to impact this community by helping people become debt-free. And that's the exciting part about it. So what do you think that you see as the vision for this?
It's something that I hope it can change your family history. I mean, it really can. It's something that can be extremely powerful. It can literally change your family history.
And you are excited about it because you still get to stay at home with Gabe and Alex.
That's correct.
And you can learn how you could do that also, because you can contact us at 772-256 area code at For God, and that's Cross Point Church in Madison on Hughes Road, and it'll be starting October the 1st, continuing, so you can come and learn about it, see if you want to come, see if it'll be right for your family, and then you can decide. And the incredible part about it is what was a few years ago over $300, you're going to get it, we understand, for $89 for the whole 13 weeks. I hope we're accurate in saying that. But the first couple of times there's no charge. You can come and just see, is this really what I want to do? Mm-hmm.
That's right. And then also once you've paid and you've bought your system, you are a lifetime member, so to speak, and you can come back whenever at no charge.
And it doesn't matter even where you go to church or whether you go to church, you can be a part of it too. And I am Bonnie Liphart along with Tony Liphart running camera. I wanted to say something about what went on the 9/11 time, but I know we're out of airtime at this moment. but along with Amy and Chuck Underwood, bless your heart for watching